And welcome to this episode of Live at the Hive, Digital Marketing from the Trenches. I'm your host, Dan Nedelko, and today we're going to be talking about the fundamentals and future of search engine optimization for businesses. Definitely a hot topic, something that is constantly one of the top blogged about and discussed areas of digital marketing. And today we've got a very special guest, Vikas Singal, the founder of SamBlogs.com, SEO expert. Vikas, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me here on your show.
Absolutely, anything.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here.
Likewise. So maybe you can just tell everybody a little bit about your background, how you got into marketing, how you got into SEO. We'll start there. So I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, Dan, I'm Vikas. To start off, Vikas Singal. People call me Sam as well. I come from India, a small town in India. In fact, I did my schooling there, and then in 2002, I moved to to Jaipur for my higher studies. I got admission in mechanical engineering branch, and in 2006, I got a job through the same college in ITC Limited, Bangalore. So in 2006, I moved to Bangalore and started working in a food company. I was a mechanical engineer, went to a food company. I got a handsome salary. I got good perks. I got a driver, chef. Everything was good. Everybody, it seems like good from outside, but I was not happy. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something bigger. Then in 2008, I quit my job and started a marketing venture. So I was a mechanical engineer, then went to food, and then started a marketing venture. The idea didn't work. In 2010, it collapsed. It collapsed badly. I was nowhere. I was broke. And top of that, I was getting married. So things were bad, really bad. So in 2010, then I came back to Jaipur again, from where I graduated, and I started learning a new thing, which is called SEO, search engine optimization. It was new then, back in 2010. I dived into this. I read a lot about this. I joined some forums. I started reading about this, and I in 2010 onwards I started taking digital marketing projects, freelancing projects through SEO forums. And in mid-September 2010, I made $3,000 for the first time through digital marketing services, freelancing services. Then I knew it is the way. It is the way for me. That's how it started.
So it sounds like it's funny. The more people we talk to on the show, and from all sorts of different roles within marketing, one of the most common threads that I find, it's interesting, a lot of people with engineering and computer science backgrounds do find their way into marketing more than you might think. So it sounds like the excitement and different projects and everything that works in the SEO film, we're going to talk about that, was something that was pretty appealing to you.
Yeah. SEO was appealing. On top of that, the thing with me actually I needed something to work on. I was already nowhere. I didn't have a direction, so I choose SEO as a direction, and it was looking promising because it was easy to understand for the first at 2010. It was easy. It has changed now. So, and on top of that, I started getting clients through SEO already. So once you see the money coming, you already get motivated through SEO. So for me, that's how SEO journey started.
Cool.
In 2013, then we founded SamBlogs.com.
Cool. And yeah, tell us a little bit about SamBlogs and your team and the type of projects you work on and what you folks do over there.
Yeah, SamBlogs.com, if you see the name, it is SamBlogs. So it was basically a blog so that we can share knowledge. People can know how SEO works, how they can get ranking, how they can benefit from SEO. There were so many techniques mentioned there. We started live chat through if you see the blog section, you will see so many blogs out there. People telling what's happening in the search, what's the today's SEO, Then in 2013 we changed it to a official agency site, so that people can come, they can talk about their problem, how they can rank their sites. So SamBlogs, we started SamBlogs in 2010 13, and in 2020 2022 it has become a brand. We recently got a award here in this part of the world for fastest growing digital marketing company in Jaipur. So it's about SamBlogs.
Awesome. Awesome. So, we had this little conversation before we went live into the recording. From your perspective, you mentioned 2010. Over the last, say, 12 years, what have you seen as some of the biggest changes and evolutions from Google's point of view? Because I think a lot of people don't really see that evolution or that change, especially people running a business. Obviously, they're not in it as much as you and I might be.
Yeah, SEO has evolved actually. It has completely changed. If I compare it to 2010 SEO and now SEO, it has completely changed. In back then 2010, if you have got a on-page title, meta keywords, and a few keywords in the content, after that we used to have two tools, if I remember correctly. One was SC Nuke, and one was AMR, Article Marketing Robot. You just put and make some links, and boom, you will get ranked. It used to work like this. So it means I remember correctly, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks max, I used to rank high keywords, high competition keywords. Everything was so easy. But later on, Google kept on changing algorithm. It is more AI now. They can catch the duplicate content. They can warn you for the thin content. You will get penalty if you are using private blog networks, PBNs. You must be knowing. So, and on top of that, it has more about user intent, how people want to see. You are not optimizing for a search engine. You are optimizing for people who are searching, who are typing a query. So it has come from a basic search engine where you can easily manipulate it. It is really hard to manipulate now. It is more about how you can please the user behind the search query. It's not about pleasing the search engine now. It's more about the user experience, page speed, core web vitals. So things have changed. Things have changed a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things, 2010 Google is nowhere near the complexity, and there are nowhere near as like now on a factor of exponential factors. There are more people using Google every single day. We're going to talk a little bit about these fun little mobile devices we all
Yeah,
carry in our pockets as well.
of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. So, what we're going to do. So, Google has evolved. It's like you mentioned, AI. It's an intelligent engine. It can read. It can read in multiple languages. It understands context. And search results from 12 years ago, if we were to pull one up, and look at that versus 2022, there's no relationship whatsoever between the two.
Yeah, of course, Dan. Yeah,
Yeah.
rightly said.
Absolutely. So today what we're going to talk about for everybody here is we're going to start with some of the search fundamentals for Google. We're going to turn to Vikas to help us dispel some of the myths. And I think it's really not the fault of a business owner because, the world that we live in with SEO, there are thousands of providers, some people sending cold emails. There's lots of different options, but I think the education side of understanding SEO. So we're going to talk about the fundamentals, dispel some myths. Then we're also going to talk about things that businesses can do and the future of search, like where are things going today. So why don't we start off, obviously I think we should talk about the fundamentals of search, right? Because and I'll close my mouth in a moment, but I'm sure you find this, if you do a site audit on a potential client's website or a client's website, you may come out with hundreds of different recommendations. And so let's kind of, instead of looking at those hundreds of them and going, oh God, what are we going to do? What in your mind are some of the core fundamentals of search and an SEO program?
If I go by the fundamentals, I'll brief you three basic things about SEO. It's not about 2010. It's not about 2022, or it's not about 2050. things will keep on changing, but fundamentals will remain there. They will be there always. So first thing, I will always say, know your audience. As a webmaster, if you are optimizing for search engines, you are a webmaster, you want to reach a new audience, you want to rank higher in Google. First, know your audience. It can be broad audience. If you are a new person who doesn't know about SEO, you can have a broad keywords, broad idea about the audience you want to target. You want to reach the audience, male, female, gender, or age group. You know the audience. Based on that, you know your keywords. Decide what are the best keywords which should be tracked, which should be ranked. Once you know the keyword, first is audience keywords. Second, once you know the audience, you should know who is ranking best for those keywords. What is he doing in terms of content? I'm talking about in terms of content. Let's say I type something in Google. I see these 2 3 people are dominating the search results for my keywords, my target area. I'll go there and I'll see those content. I'll try to beat them in terms of quality. It's not about length of the content, it's about quality of the content. If a user go to my content, he will have a better experience than going to my competitors content. So I'll try to beat them in content. First, I know the keywords. Second, I'll try to beat them in content. Third, for the links, I will try to be as relevant as possible. If I come from a SEO community, I need links from SEO people who are in digital marketing, not from people who are selling groceries. So this is about niche relevant. How can you be relevant to the people? So these 3 things will remain forever, for even if it is 2050. Know your audience, beat the content in terms of quality. Third, get relevant links which are relevant today. So this is my best advice for businesses who are going into SEO. Keep your fundamentals high.
And we should talk about how, and that's great advice. I think one of the things is some businesses will say, our audience are 18 to 65-year-old men and women in India, for example, and that's everybody. Pretty much. I mean, you've got some, right? So, and all of that really understanding and becoming more specific leads to creating more specific, relatable content that's going to fit that search intent. And that also then leads to site structure, how things are internally linked on your site. But we should probably talk a little bit, and you've touched on it a bit, is the site speed and those core web vitals. And mainly because the primary method for people to access Google these days is through the mobile device, really, more so than, say, a desktop or a laptop.
Yeah, if we see the pattern, we will see that desktop searches are declining and mobile searches are increasing. So Google introduced mobile first indexing. I think it's more than 3.5 or 4 years now. So it's more when we used to do SEO in 2010, sites were not optimized for mobiles because nobody was using mobiles for the search. No, we everybody has mobile. Even people keep 2 3 mobiles. So we most of the searches come from mobile. So mobile first indexing, uh, you need to optimize for the mobile. And second, you have to be very speedy. If your site doesn't load on mobile, it takes time. It takes more than 3 seconds. People are gone. So core web vitals are crucial from that perspective. First, you have to be speedy on loading speed. Second, for the user intent, user experience, it should be easy to navigate. Your site should be easy to navigate. The most important part of content which you want to produce to the audience should be very easily accessible. And so these things are so important in today's SEO: page speed and core web vitals. So you must optimize your site for these 2 things.
Absolutely. No, that's some great advice. And from designing a site and having a business look at their site, I think look at mobile first and then work backwards into desktop, because if you're highly optimized on mobile first, that's just going to benefit you as well. So we all know that link building is a super important part of SEO. I think even people that are relatively new to the program and what it is, understand that. But what are some of your best tips for link building? Because link building is a really big topic, and there's always details in that. So what are some of your best tips and advice for businesses thinking
Yeah,
about link building?
link building. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's quite a vast thing, and there are actually, if you go by link building, people. First thing you should be very clear about. It's not about quantity of links. It's
Mm-hmm.
more about quality of links. So when you start off link building part of a project for your site, you can start off with diversified links. Which what are diversified links? These are
Mm-hmm.
links coming from some good sites. Anybody can go there and make links, like a blogger,
Mm-hmm.
blogger.com, wordpress.com. These are good sites. Don't overuse it, but go and make some useful content and link back to you.
Mm-hmm.
These are diversified links. And then there, guest post. Guest post should be done in a right manner. Like, if you have wrote a great piece of content and you want relevant authors to reach out to you, or you can reach out to relevant people who are in your industry and it is more useful to them, you can pitch your post to them and they will be happy to link back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be like more about more relevancy. It should be about relevancy. And third, the new techniques are coming, like links coming from interview, for example, or podcast. These are new techniques. Not everybody is doing this. These are few people doing this. So reach out to them through the people who are in this industry and relevant to your industry. Reach out to them and do an interview with them and get links from them. So these link building techniques are great techniques. These will work forever. And then
Mm-hmm.
there are some shady links, link building tactics, which can give you a rank in few days, but that rank will not stay for a longer time. For
Mm-hmm.
example, you can go and make a PBN, private blog network, right? If it is made by you and you are trying to hide, there is no interlinking between PB and private blog networks, then you can get a good ranking. But you need to stick to your private blog network and try to hide it as much as possible. But this is like a black hat part of the link building technique, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So for the white hat part, I would say go for guest post, go for podcast or interview links, and make some diversified links for the link building part of page SEO.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a couple of things on link building. One, to touch on PBNs. These are very much a mid 2010 kind of notion where, for anybody that isn't sure what a PBN is, one site owner would have, say, 50 or 100 different blogs across different hosts. And if you put a link on one, you can get tons of links pointing. Google has become very, very, very good at detecting these. And
Yeah.
as much as I've seen people that try all sorts of wild techniques, I think what it comes down to is Google fundamentally has better engineers than you. And they're going to find it because it's something that it's link manipulation, and it's something they definitely don't want to have affecting their results, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. The other part about link building that I think is super important is the notion of deep linking. So oftentimes you'll see, well, we built links and non-context links that maybe have the anchor text as your business name as opposed to what you do, right? And just pointing to the homepage. You mentioned search intent. There's also, link building intent, that if you've got a guest post talking about how to file your taxes in 2022, you should point to a very relevant page deeper within your domain, not just your homepage that may not have the right intent potentially. Yeah.
Correct.
Totally. All right. So moving on, I mean, we're talking about quite a bit of really good background and information on things that businesses need to know about SEO. So let's just dive in a little bit into what you see as, and I'm sure you talk to tons of clients and tons of businesses. What are your top misconceptions that you see about SEO? And I'll throw a couple into myself as well.
Yeah, sure. SEO is actually quite a vast topic. It is well misunderstood, I would say. People actually, there is no clear-cut guidelines about SEO. So someone say X thing, someone say Y thing. So there are so many misconceptions about SEO. I'll cover the basic three misconceptions I see in industry. right now. So first, the basic misconception is SEO is one time. People will come to me and say, hey, my budget is this, I want to rank in 1 month, and I want to stay ranked after the job is done. It doesn't work like that. To be honest, it doesn't work like that. It's a continuous process. You have to stay regular with SEO, and if you are staying regular with SEO, you can get a huge ROI, and a huge ROI as compared to Facebook ads, as compared to Google ads and PR marketing campaigns. So I would say for businesses, they should have a separate budget for SEO, and keep in mind it's not a one-time thing; it's a regular process. Second, people say link quantity matters. Some most of the people think if they have got 2,000 links and their competitor has got only 200 links, they are ahead of their competitor, which is not true. The fact is, it's more about quality of the links. If a link is coming from really authoritative domain, a single link can be more beneficial as compared to 100 links. So this is the second biggest myth about link building. Third, which I see a lot, the people will come and say SEO is dead, which I don't believe. Which I don't believe. SEO is very much alive. The tactics have changed. The algorithms are smarter now. You need to stay regular. You have to be wise with your content marketing. It's more about content marketing now. You should have a high quality content, and then you have to market that content. If you're doing it in the right way, optimizing for the intent and going for the page speed, you are bound to rank. And it is very much alive, and it can give you huge returns. Trust me, it can give you huge returns.
Yeah, and those are three great points. I think SEO is a bit like investing in a stock market, where you're not investing in crypto to see something overnight, but over the long
Yeah.
term you see those results.
Yeah.
That is actually, to be honest with you, one of the things that I see with clients, especially clients that are very aggressive in their business growth. They want to see these results, and it's harder to explain that this is the marathon. You have things to take into account, that it's going to take that amount of time. So pairing it with some other more immediate activities can help that process. Definitely SEO is not dead. It's far, far from it. We're going to talk about some of the future of SEO, but certainly, you see things like voice search. You see, obviously, mobile search and how the results are displayed differently with things like app installs. But a couple of other, one big misconception, and I'd love your feedback on this too, is quite often we'll hear that, I want to rank number one for Google. And people, you're not building anything actually for Google at all. And that's the big misconception is realized. It comes to life when, and we often see this, we'll have a company talk to us, or a business, well, we've just invested $30,000-$40,000 in a brand new website. Now we need to do SEO, and it's live. Right? And so that's the second one, that when people think, well, we build for Google separately than we build for human beings,
Yeah.
you can run into those problems. I'll kick it over to you for 1 second, in 1 second, sorry. But Google is really like a conduit, and at the end of that tunnel is a human being sitting in front of some sort of a device, trying to learn, solve a problem, make a purchase, to trying to do something. And so this idea of SEO as a way to appeal to Google is I think one of the fundamental problems that people need to get their heads around, that no, it's the person. Google's trying to get that result to the right person.
Yeah, correct. Rightly said, Dan. Rightly said.
Yeah. Awesome. So moving along here, we talked a lot about kind of the basics, the core fundamentals. So site structure, understanding your ideal customer, site structure, building out content appropriately, the right kind of content, building specific links that build deep into the site. But we talked about it already. This thing that is SEO and that is Google is this giant ball rolling down a hill, growing in size. What do you see as the future of SEO and search in general for businesses?
Uh, SEO is there for it's here to stay, as we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
Future SEO, change is the only constant. You must have heard this term.
Mm-hmm.
People change, search engine change, algorithm changes. SEO will keep on changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure. But you have to adapt to those changes and incline towards those changes to get more traffic through SEO.
Yep.
Like there will be there, it's not like a huge change in one day. It won't happen. It will change gradually.
Mm-hmm.
For me, what I see, structural data will be more important. You know about it already. So
Mm-hmm.
if you when you are optimizing for secondly, content marketing is the next name of SEO.
Mm-hmm.
You have a high quality content and you market it through influencers, through podcast, and reach to a new audience through that content.
Mm-hmm.
Third, core web vitals. Core People are not optimizing for core web vitals now. As of now, most of the people they are not. Only few of a handful of people who know about these they are optimizing. So these things will become more prominent as we go along in next 4 5 years. So if you are optimizing for intent and
Mm-hmm.
search results will be in your favor. So these three things will change as we go along, and few of the new techniques which we already talked about, like podcast interviews and um,
Mm-hmm.
video SEO will change also. So you can put lots of content in YouTube. It's not just about getting traffic from Google. It's about getting traffic from Bing, it's DuckDuckGo and YouTube as well. So
Mm-hmm.
so that's how SEO will change. You are optimizing for all search engines, not just concentrate on Google.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And then you made a great point there about different types of media, video, audio, voice
Yeah.
search, some of these things that are rising in prominence. Even a few years ago, I think voice search, Alexa was definitely around, but now pretty much everybody I know has a voice assistant in their home and or in their car or on their device as well. Yeah, and definitely, I think the top one that you hit upon there is structured data. And I'll just share my screen very briefly with the audience here to kind of have a look here. If we looked
Okay.
at this search result 10 years ago, we would not have had any of this type of structured data where Google is able to nicely display things like reviews, the maps, like all of this here, all of this structured data. And actually, from an SEO perspective, you can see here you've got providers nearby, you've got ads, you've got the local map pack, the map results, and then you get FAQ snippets. All of these are structured data. And I think, practically, both of us coming from somewhat of an engineering background, me software development and engineering, and you from mechanical, is the faster that Google can sort this and understand what it is, then they can display it in ways that are much more rich than just plain old HTML. And from a practical perspective, I think structured data is something you should definitely check your box off on and
Yeah.
understand how to make
Yeah.
that happen. Yeah. Okay, great. As we start to wrap up a little bit here, just maybe your top takeaways for businesses wanting to get started in SEO, and increase their findability and their qualified traffic. What are some of your top pieces of advice that a business could use starting today?
For the businesses who are starting today, I will say take SEO as a long-term investment. You want to get a huge traffic overnight. You can get started with Facebook ads, Google ads, but set aside a budget for SEO. Know
Mm-hmm.
your audience, create
Mm-hmm.
content for that audience, do content marketing for that audience, and start a little bit of budget. It's not about hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can just start off with $500, $1,000, whatever you feel you're comfortable with as a startup. You set
Mm-hmm.
aside a budget for SEO and start doing deep linking. And interlinking also is important. So just start off a hire agency, good agency. You can always come to me, samblogs.com, or there are other agencies as well. So my best advice will be know your audience, keep the content relevant to your audience, and get relevant links if you are targeting to rank higher in search engines.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. And just a couple of other pieces of advice that I've run into personally is don't always go for the 1,200 to 1,500 word blog post. One of the examples we had talked about was if it's a pizza recipe and you've got a recipe site, or you're selling a product like garage doors or garage door repair, 1,200 to 1,500 words may be inappropriate for the search intent that person has. Right? I mean, if they want the recipe, they want the recipe. If they want to learn how to fix it or the top problems, some of the things that you can do beyond just other forms of content are including things like structured data, FAQs, Q&A, recipes. There's probably about 40 or 50 different types. Embedding videos that are highly related, quotes from authoritative sources and linking back to them, reaching out to them as well. And then, like I said, the FAQ snippets and sections can all become really big signals for Google to say this is the kind of quality content that this type of a searcher would be looking for, more so than just total word count in a piece of content as well. So
yeah.
All right. Well, Vikas, thank you so much for joining us today. You can visit Vikas's agency at SamBlogs.com. Vikas, appreciate your time today and hope to have you back on soon again.
Yeah, it was great to be on your show, Dan. It was really my pleasure. It is really my pleasure. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me here.
All right. Anytime. And for all of you out there, that'll wrap up this episode of Live at the Hive Digital Marketing from the Trenches. We will see you next week. Same B time, same B channel.